Hello, everyone. Today, we'll showcase 20 tips on how to use Google Forms, a versatile tool for effortless survey and quiz creation. Let's explore together. Here you are on your PC, eager to create a Google form. To do so, head to the google.com website. Upon reaching the homepage, locate the waffle icon in the top right corner, also known as the app launcher. Clicking on it reveals various Google apps, including Google Forms. Alternatively, a quicker method is typing forms.google.com in the address bar and hitting enter. This takes you directly to the Google Forms homepage, featuring a layout familiar to users of docs, sheets, or slides. In the top left corner, you can start with a blank form or explore template options. Whether you're starting from scratch or using a template, Google Forms provides a seamless and efficient form building experience. Also, on the right-hand side, you'll find a variety of templates. It's worthwhile to check if there's a template that already suits your needs, potentially saving you some time. Returning to the homepage, let's say you want to access an existing form. Below, you'll find all your recent forms with filters and options to customize how you view them. As your list of forms grows, you can use the search function to quickly locate a specific form. Now, let's focus on creating a new form. Navigate to the bottom and select Start with Blank Form. This takes you to a fresh Google form, where you can begin constructing your survey or quiz. The default tab is Questions, which you'll use to develop your survey. There's also a tab called Responses, but you'll revisit that once you've gathered some responses. Before diving into questions, let's give your form a title. Currently labeled Untitled Form, it's essential to make it more descriptive. For instance, if you've been planning to create a viewer satisfaction survey for your YouTube channel, use this opportunity to build that out. Title it Viewer Satisfaction Survey and add a brief description to provide context, asking viewers to share their thoughts on your channel. Moving on to questions, Google has provided a placeholder question that you can use. Click on it, and a text field appears where you can input your question. For your first question, inquire whether the respondent is subscribed to your YouTube channel. Type in the question, and it's worth noting that Google offers helpful suggestions as you type. Google automatically recognizes that this question is a yes, no, or maybe inquiry and provides corresponding options. To expedite the process, you can manually input yes, no, or maybe, or simply click on Add All to include all options swiftly. Now that you've input a variety of choices, on the right side, there's an option to add an image alongside the question. This is useful for those who may not be familiar with your YouTube channel. Clicking on Add Image opens the Google File Picker, allowing you to select the image source. Drag and drop the picture from your desktop, and it seamlessly integrates into the question. What's noteworthy is that you're not limited to text questions. You can also incorporate images and even videos, providing a multimedia-rich experience. Right beside the image insertion icon, there's a drop-down menu where you can specify the question type. The default setting, multiple choice, suits this scenario where respondents need to choose between yes or no. However, you can opt for various types such as short answer, paragraph answer, checkboxes, drop-down, file upload, and more. Throughout this video, you'll explore several question types to demonstrate their functionality. For now, multiple choice aligns with your requirements. Below, you can see all the entries, yes, no, maybe. You can rearrange their order by clicking and shifting their positions. Anticipating that most individuals are likely subscribed, leave yes in the first position for ease of selection. Another interesting feature is that when you hover over yes on the right side, there's an image icon, enabling you to add an image to each response if needed. While it may not be necessary in this case, your situation might require it. Additionally, on the right side, there's an option to remove choices in case an unintended option was added. You believe this question is now well structured, and you're prepared to introduce more questions. With this item selected, on the right side, various options are available. You can add another question, import one from another form, insert a title, description, image, video, or another section. You'll explore some of these options later, but for now, let's insert another question by clicking on the plus icon. This instantly adds the new question beneath the previous one. A noteworthy aspect is that you can choose where to insert different elements on the form. For instance, by selecting the header, you can use the same controls to add a question right below it. Although you'll delete this one since you don't need it, it illustrates the flexibility in deciding where to place items on the form. For your next question, if someone responds negatively to the previous question, you want to understand why. Therefore, phrase the question as, "Tell me more about why you haven't subscribed." Here, you can choose the question type, and multiple choice isn't suitable in this context. Opting for a paragraph makes sense as it allows respondents to provide a more detailed response. The field below accommodates longer text answers. This appears well constructed. However, there's a potential issue. Currently, regardless of whether someone responds with yes, no, or maybe to the first question, they will proceed to the next question. If a person is already subscribed, answered yes or maybe, it doesn't make sense to ask them the subsequent question. To address this, you want to introduce some logic so that only those who respond with no see the second question. Others who respond with yes or maybe will bypass this question and move on to the next section. To implement this, you need to incorporate sections. By selecting the question, you can add different items, and at the bottom of the list, there's an option to add a section. Clicking on that, add a new section. Now, you have two sections. You want the recently added question to be in this new section, and fortunately, you can easily rearrange items by dragging and dropping. So, select the question and move it down to sit within section 2. The current view or section doesn't have a name, so name it, "I'm not a current subscriber." This way, if someone selects no, they'll drop into section 2 and encounter this question. You also want to add another section, so if someone answers yes or maybe, they'll bypass section 2 and proceed to section 3, which contains all remaining questions. Once again, select the last item and add another section, placing it beneath the previous one. Now you have section 3, and name it additional questions. So, you now have 3 sections set up, and the final step is to add a bit of logic to ensure everything functions as expected. Going back to the first question, use the controls at the bottom, click on the ellipsis, and choose the option, Go to Section based on answer. This is precisely what you need. If someone selects no, they'll go to section 2. If they choose yes, maybe, or skip the question, they'll be directed to section 3. So, if the response is yes, you don't want the user to proceed to section 2, "I'm not a current subscriber." Instead, you want to direct them straight to additional questions, assuming they are already a subscriber. Conversely, for a no response, indicating that the user is not a subscriber, you want them to answer the question about why they are not a subscriber. In this case, send the user to section 2. For someone who responds with maybe, treat it as if they said yes, and send them to section 3. Here, too, select section 3. What's noteworthy is that there are various actions you can specify. For instance, you can direct someone to the next section or have them submit the form immediately. This can be useful if, for example, someone responds with no, and you don't wish to gather further feedback. Now, for the maybe response, choose section 3 again. Below, there's a question that addresses what happens after section 1. Since this question is not required, individuals can choose to skip it. In such cases, assume they are subscribers and direct them to section 3. Here, you can see the logic currently implemented, and it seems comprehensive. However, your perception of it being effective doesn't guarantee its accuracy. Fortunately, you can test it to ensure everything functions as intended. At the top, there's an eyeball icon or preview icon. Clicking on it opens the survey, allowing you to preview and verify its functionality. Now, you can see section 1, and the other sections are not visible at this point. Upon selecting Yes, if you click on Next, it successfully navigates you to the Additional Questions section. Testing the Back option. If you choose No, clicking on Next prompts the question asking why the user is not a subscriber. Once again, testing the Back option, this time selecting Maybe and clicking on Next directs you to the Additional Questions section. Clearing the selection and clicking Next also brings you to the Additional Questions section. This way, you can systematically verify that the logic is functioning precisely as anticipated. It's a recommended practice to thoroughly test the setup to ensure it aligns with expectations. Now that the verification is successful, let's explore additional options for each question. Scrolling down, you can duplicate a question, which, as the name suggests, allows you to create a duplicate. This is useful when compiling a survey or quiz, and you want to base a new question on an existing one. However, in this case, you don't need to duplicate the question, so use the trash can or delete icon to remove it. Additionally, there's an option to make a question required, compelling respondents to provide an answer. Since you don't want to enforce a response to this question, leave it as optional by default. Next to this, there's also the ellipsis, where you activated the section based on answers earlier. What additional options are available here? At the top, you can add a description to this question. If you click on Description, you could provide additional context to assist in answering the question. Since you don't need a description, leave it off, and the line disappears. Additionally, if you go back, there's another option called Shuffle Option Order. Let's turn that on to see its impact. Once again, going back to preview mode, observe the order of the options: No, Yes, and Maybe. If you refresh the page, it now starts with Maybe, Yes, and No. By enabling this option, it randomizes the order of the options. You've explored various functionalities, but with a looming deadline, you need to add more questions. Once again, go to the bottom, where the new section, Additional Questions, resides, but currently lacks any questions. Clicking on this section, you can use the plus icon to add another question. For this one, you want to inquire about the preferred video topic. This helps you prioritize video content creation. Instead of a multiple-choice question, choose a short answer for flexibility. With this question, you have similar controls at the bottom, but one new addition. Clicking on the ellipsis, you can perform response validation. This means you can check if the entered response meets specific criteria, such as number, text, length, or even an expression. For instance, you can validate based on text, ensuring the response includes a specific phrase like book summary. While this example may be impractical, it illustrates the ability to validate responses. For now, remove the validation. Let's proceed with building the survey. Clicking on the plus icon, add another question. This time, you want to insert a Likert scale, essentially a 1 to 10 scale. Selecting the linear scale option, inquire about the likelihood of recommending the channel to others. Users can rate on a scale from 1 to 10. You've filled in the labels for the scale, even though selecting 1 might be unlikely. This is just to demonstrate the process. Now, one of the fascinating features is that as you've incorporated more questions into this form, you can effortlessly rearrange these elements. Suppose you decide you want to initiate with a particular question in the Additional Questions section. In that case, you can click here and easily move it up. Moving on, you'd like to introduce another question. Once again, navigate to the last item, click on the plus icon, and enter your query. This question is particularly valuable when working on a product. It involves asking users or customers, if you had the chance to magically improve one thing about the channel, what would you improve? Now, for another question, instead of creating a completely new one from scratch, you want to import a question. Clicking on the Import Question option, you can see all your other forms in Google Forms. Choosing a previous form, you can select a question to reuse. After selecting a question like, "Do you have any other feedback you'd like to share?" and confirming the import, it seamlessly inserts the chosen question. If you've developed other forms with questions you want to reuse, Google Forms simplifies the process. Approaching the end of your survey, you want to include one more item. In the Insert menu, you have 3 untouched options: inserting a title and description, an image, and a YouTube video. For now, you want to add some text to express gratitude to participants for taking the time to share their feedback. Acknowledging that all feedback, whether positive or negative, is a valuable gift, you want to convey your appreciation. Now that you've completed constructing your survey, there are a few tasks you want to address before distributing it. In the top left-hand corner, you notice it's currently labeled as an untitled form, which lacks descriptiveness. You'll rename it to Viewer Satisfaction Survey. Additionally, you can choose the location in Google Drive where you want to save it or star the form for easy access. This way, it becomes more convenient to locate within Google Drive. On the far right-hand side, additional options are available. The first one enables you to personalize the theme. You can opt for an image for the header, choosing from Google's provided images, uploading your own, or selecting an existing photo from your Google Drive. Alternatively, you can pick a theme color, and for this instance, you'll choose red. You can also adjust the background color and modify the font, allowing you to customize the appearance of your form. Moving back up to the top corner on the right-hand side, there's an option to preview once again, which you used earlier to verify your logic. Adjacent to that, there's a settings gear. Let's access this to explore the configuration options. In the settings, there are various general settings that may be applicable to your scenario. Additionally, there are presentation settings that you can customize. An intriguing option allows you to shuffle the order of your questions, potentially mitigating bias by randomizing the sequence. There's an interesting feature called quizzes. This allows you to transform your Google form into a quiz. While we'll only provide a brief overview, you can delve deeper into its functionalities. Toggling this option allows you to configure different settings related to quizzes. Returning to the main form, you can select one of these questions. Now that you've converted it into a quiz, a new option called Answer Key appears at the bottom. Clicking on it allows you to specify the point value for the question, and in this case, let's assign 50 points. Below that, you can indicate the correct answer, in this instance, yes. Additionally, you have the option to provide feedback for incorrect answers, which can include text, links, or even videos. This functionality allows for the creation of interactive and informative quizzes. You'll navigate back to Settings, Access Quizzes, and temporarily disable the quiz feature. In the top right-hand corner, there are further settings accessible via the ellipsis. Notably, under Add Collaborators, in the middle, you can invite others to collaborate with you on building the survey or quiz. Why work alone when you can enlist the assistance of others? After configuring the settings, the next step is to share the survey. Located in the top right-hand corner, the Send icon provides various options for distributing the survey, such as sending it via email or copying the link. If desired, the URL can be shortened for brevity. Additionally, in this section, you can obtain HTML code to embed this form into a website. If you have a Google Sites page, you can take this code, bring it to your Google site, and embed it seamlessly. Also, tucked away on the right-hand side, you have the option to share it directly to Facebook or Twitter. So, there's no shortage of methods to share your form and gather feedback. Now that you understand how to distribute your survey and have others start filling it out, let's explore their experience. To access this, you'll navigate to the top right-hand corner and click on Preview. You'll go through the survey and fill it out to understand the user's perspective. Are you currently subscribed? Well, of course. Next. Right up here, what video would you most like to see next? Well, you'd love to see a video of book summaries. Right down here, how likely are you to recommend the channel to a friend or student? That's a clear number 10. Down here, if you had a magic wand and could improve one thing about this channel, what would you improve? So you guess that's one thing that could be improved. And down below, do you have any other feedback you'd like to share? Keep going. Here, you can go back again, or you could submit your form. Let's click on Submit. Once you submit your form, it looks like the response has been recorded. That looks great. Back on the main form screen, in the questions view, where you created and edited all your different questions, over here, you can see that there has been one response to this survey. You can click on Responses, and here you can review the results. Within the Responses section, there are various ways for you to examine the different outcomes. The initial tab is labeled Summary, offering an overview of all responses. This allows you to navigate through the questions and grasp the overall sentiments. You can also inspect individual responses, question by question, under the Individual tab. This provides a detailed view of each respondent's input within the survey form. While these views provide valuable insights, there are instances where the analytical capabilities of a spreadsheet are preferable. In the top right-hand corner, you have the option to generate a spreadsheet using Google Sheets. Clicking on this option allows you to create a new spreadsheet, showcasing each survey response in a separate row. Each column represents a different question, offering a comprehensive analysis of the collected data. This offers an additional approach to review the various responses to your form. Returning to Google Forms, if Google Sheets isn't your preferred method, you can click on the ellipsis and opt to download a CSV. For those accustomed to Microsoft Excel, this allows you to analyze responses in that format. Back on the main screen, there's a useful toggle. Currently, your survey is active for responses, but if you've gathered enough or wish to halt feedback, you can simply turn off the survey, preventing further submissions. This toggle allows for both activation and deactivation. You have now covered all the fundamental features of Google Forms. Fortunately, the platform automatically saves your work as you progress, eliminating the need for manual saving. To return to the homepage, click on the Google Forms icon in the top left corner, bringing you back to the initial page where you can create another form and view recent ones. This sums up the comprehensive use of Google Forms from start to finish. If you found value in this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. To stay updated on future content, be sure to hit the subscribe button. As always, looking forward to seeing you in the next one.